doesn't want to do proof of reserves because he doesn't want people to see him moving his Bitcoin when he's about to sell.
As much as I love Saylor, the whole thing of Bitcoin is don't trust, verify. And it's becoming like a trust me bro type of situation.
He was saying it's too risky to share the public addresses. I thought that shit was lame.
There was a viral clip that went out on X, and it was essentially Mitchell Hodl asking Saylor about whether strategy is going to make their reserves public or not. And Saylor said, like, we can't do that. Like privacy and, security and all that stuff. Like, I've seen Paolo, CEO of Tether, literally copy paste the Bitcoin treasury address with 92,000 Bitcoin. The country of El Salvador has a public address. Anyone could see it all the time, right? And not to mention that all those ETFs and strategy all have their Bitcoin custody with Coinbase, right? So like that to me, like from a Bitcoiner's perspective, and Ben, you're all about self-custody, dude. That sounds like fiat games, bro. So like maybe it's not like, like direct, shit coining, right? Or direct altcoining, but like it like the whole thing of Bitcoin is don't trust, verify. And it's becoming like a trust me bro type of situation, right? Mm-hmm. That's the way I'm kind of looking at it. And as much as I love Saylor, as much as I appreciate what he's done for the industry, and I think strategy is going to go to the moon and more. Like, I'll be honest with you. This is just my humble opinion. I could be totally wrong here. I don't have experience in the public markets. As a Bitcoiner, that answer that he gave didn't sit well with me.
No, I fully agree. I thought that shit was lame. In terms of it adds, he was saying it's too risky to share the public addresses, but like in terms of actual risk to the underlying asset, it's the key management, right? Like it's different if you're, say, an individual or you're a company who hasn't disclosed the amount of Bitcoin you have. But when you're like, hey, this is exactly how many Bitcoin we own, and then somebody says, show me the address, and you say, well, that's too risky. That puts the Bitcoin at risk. Well, not really. It's still secured by the same keys. It's not like you can work backwards from the keys, the public address, to compromise the keys, and you're already trying to be transparent with what you have. So I just really didn't buy that answer. I thought it was pretty weak, and I got a lot of shit for it on like X and all over the place and videos and stuff like that, and a lot of people did, but I just thought it was a lame answer. Doesn't mean that I don't like some of the other stuff Saylor has done, but I thought it was weak. I'm curious what Marty thinks here too.
Well, I was reading James Check's latest newsletter from Check on Chain. Apparently he was in, I believe it was Singapore or Hong Kong, in one of the conferences over the weekend. He said that Preston Pysh made a very good point, and I don't think he said this explicitly, but I heard this theory earlier this week too, is that the sort of charade of it's insecure is a facade to mask that he may have to sell at some point. And Preston's point was basically confirming something that David Bailey said in the context of Nakamoto a couple of weeks ago about if the discount to NAV, if the premium turns to a discount to NAV, it actually makes sense to sell Bitcoin and buy back your shares, because that actually increases your Bitcoin per share if you're using that as a KPI. And I forget if James said this explicitly in his newsletter, but another theory that is out there is that he doesn't want to do proof of reserves because he doesn't want people to see him moving his Bitcoin when he's about to sell, to do a share buyback to make sure that the Bitcoin per share is going up. It's something they haven't done historically, but they've been getting increasingly creative with their strategy. I hate the name strategy and like talking about they've been getting increasingly creative with what they're doing in terms of financial engineering. And I wouldn't be surprised if something like that arises in the future where they actually sell Bitcoin to increase Bitcoin per share if it gets the discount to NAV. But agree with everybody, like Bitcoin makes it easy. I think that the hand wavy, like it's insecure argument is completely BS. It's not, plenty of people do it very securely, very confidently. It's been happening for years, and it's certainly not insecure.
Yeah. I mean, I just finished with the we just did an HRF. Thanks, Walker. I appreciate that. It makes me happy. We just finished up an HRF webinar this week with Human Rights Distance, and one of the people I co-host these webinars with, her name is Anna Chekovich, and she's a Russian dissident, and she worked alongside Alexei Navalny, and she's with the Anti-Corruption Foundation, and for years that foundation had just a singular public address for Bitcoin donations, and it just everything went there. And that when people were like, "Oh, you should do something about that," without fully explaining it, they're like, "I mean, fuck them. Let them see how much money we have. What are they gonna do? They can't take it." So just like proof is in the pudding that the Russian government could not steal the Bitcoin from a direct opposition raising money through a singular address. Now, they did fix that after the fact because you need to obviously protect privacy of donors and stuff in sensitive situations. And so BTC Pay Server works much better, and they coin join and all that. But the fact remains that having a public address in the most drastic of extremes. So there's that. Anyway, go ahead.
Let me break this down for my fellow Bitcoiners. In just 8 weeks, I've seen a serious shift. More strength, more energy, and fast muscle gains. The reason? FITSCRIPT. They ran 124 biomarkers, blood, hormones, inflammation, and built a fully custom plan: nutrition, training, supplements. No guesswork, no templates. This is functional medicine meets precision fitness for high-performing men who want sovereignty over their health. If you care about optimization the way you care about your money, test, don't guess. Don't trust, verify. Hit the link in the description or scan the QR code on the screen to check out FITSCRIPT and see what's possible. Bitcoin Well is the best place to be buying and selling Bitcoin in Canada and the US. And now with Bitcoin Well Infinite, it's also the best place to be making large buys at their OTC desk of over $50,000. Their white glove service gives you fast transactions, no slippage, and the lowest fees. You can scan the QR code on the screen or simply head to bitcoinwell.com/BTC Sessions to sign up today. And you can share your own personalized referral link to earn commissions.
Yeah, so I mean, first of all, first thing I'll say is like, and I heard this from an inside source, so might be wrong, but basically like all that Coinbase, all the Bitcoin that's custodied with Coinbase is in Brian Armstrong's nightstand on a ledger. That's the first thing I'll say. The second thing I'll say is, in all seriousness, is like these are fiat games. What is fiat but not a shitcoin? What is the outcome of shitcoin games? Right. So I'm just observing here, you know, maybe this is too sophisticated Wall Street, maneuvering and all that, this is above my pay grade, but as a Bitcoiner that, stays humble, stacks sats, stays solvent, and put Bitcoin into self-custody, like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think an important thing to take into consideration too is like how isolated is that public market proxy Bitcoin exposure treasury play this time around. Like when you look at the number of demand drivers, that is one. You have nation states like the U.S. government, obviously Bhutan, El Salvador, others talking about Bitcoin strategic reserves. You have the state of Texas. You have many other states throughout the United States thinking about this. And even if a lot of these publicly traded Bitcoin treasury companies, just got to set my webcam, blow up, like is my question is, I'm not saying it's going to go one way or the other. I'm very curious to see, like, is there enough external demand from this pure sort of speculative attack via public capital markets, vertical, isolated enough? Like, is there enough demand outside of that play to soak up any blow ups that happen if a company's forced to sell their Bitcoin. Is there enough external demand from that strategy to just soak it up and make the correction caused by that sell-off suppressed?
Well, to Nico's earlier point, retail isn't even here yet. Like, so, and not that retail is, they're maybe not punching as heavy as these institutional players, but like, let's not underestimate the power of, first of all, the existing army of DCA plebs that are just a constant buy wall every hour of every day, constantly. But then also, like, when we hit another stretch of kind of FOMO where people realize, oh, this thing is running and I need to get on board this train because nothing stops this train. And like, I don't want to be left here at the station, with my dick in my hand, pardon my French. I think that actually creates a massive amount of demand. And like, yeah, it's from the little fish, but that adds up. And like, again, I'd say never underestimate when we do see a correction, what do we know happens? DCA plebs like myself decide to smash buy en masse. And like that does account for a significant amount of buy side pressure.